Welcome to Lead with AI, where we explore the minds building the future of artificial intelligence. Today, we're talking with the team behind Jozu, an enterprise DevOps platform that treats AI governance like mission control for the entire digital universe. If you've ever wondered how companies can innovate boldly and stay secure, this conversation with Jesse is for you. Let's get into it. Welcome to Lead with AI. I'm Dr. Tamara Nall. In each episode, we will take you behind the scenes with visionary leaders shaping the future of AI across public and private sectors. Join us as we explore groundbreaking projects and innovations that are transforming industries and making a real impact on people's lives. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. How are you? It is your hostess for Lead with AI. I'm Dr. Tamara Nall, and I am so thrilled to have Jesse Williams here, who is the co-founder and COO of Jozu. How are you, Jesse?
I'm good, Tamara. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. And I always like to thank our guests for being here. We were #1 in technology on Apple Podcasts in June of 2025. We had a good month and a half run there. And then we recently found out that we're the winner of W3, which is a huge deal for podcasts, but it wouldn't be possible without great founders like you, Jesse, and of course, great AI products like Jozu. So we're going to get into it because I'm excited about what Jozu does for developers and creators.
All right. And congratulations.
Thank you. So let's start with who you are, Jesse. We always like to know, who are you at your core? What's your passion, and how that syncs and links up to your starting Jozu?
Yeah. Well, so I'm a 15-year tech veteran. That's kind of my career background. Been in and out of the startup space. Spent a lot of time climbing the corporate ladder, honestly, through acquisitions. So did Red Hat, IBM, AWS, was a VP at Docker. At my core, though, I have to be honest. I'm a dad. I love being a dad. I've got 3 kids, and a family. My my pride and joy there. And it's really, I think a lot of people have different motivations for their career. Mine is, it's all about my kids, just providing for them, and that's what I love. Getting to innovate, and I'll get to tell you a little bit about that. But yeah, being on the leading edge of technology is something that excites me, and it keeps me engaged throughout the days.
That's amazing. So yeah, tell us a little bit about Jozu. Tell us, what is it? What does it do?
Yeah, so Jozu helps companies get their ML into production quickly and securely, and in a way that really works with existing standards, is like what we like to call them.
Okay.
And I guess to maybe take a double click in there for people that aren't technical.
Yeah.
We've been building software for a long time. 15, 20 years we've been deploying software. And through that time, we've come up with processes and governance and, ways to do it securely, ways to do it quickly, that have become proven and trusted. ML came around so quickly that a lot of those things that we depended on to, make sure that our company doesn't end up in the news for doing something bad, like leaking everyone's data, it kind of got skipped, and all of a sudden AI was here. So what my team did is, we have extensive background in DevOps and developer tooling, and we looked at how AI was being developed, and we said, well, this is really, really risky. All the things that we've done to make sure our applications are trustworthy are non-existent, even down to some of the most basic things like application versioning. And so we started building that, and Jozu is really the baseline for that, and we built it on open source. And so technology that we pioneered called KitOps, we've actually donated to the Cloud Native Computing Foundation so that everyone can use it. And so now, it's been adopted by companies like Red Hat, by PayPal, by ByteDance, the TikTok creators,
Mm-hmm.
even Docker is getting on board with it too.
Oh wow, no, that's amazing. And particularly given your background and having developed, so many tools and then seeing that, the standards or what have you weren't there, the frameworks weren't there, given your expertise is amazing. Now tell us about the holy smokes moment. Like what is an example of, a customer or a tester, consumer, developer, someone use Jozu and it like changed everything for them in a way that they had not experienced before. Kind of tell us a little bit about that magic.
Yeah, so we've worked with several very secure companies,
Mm-hmm.
a lot inside of the DoD, in different areas. I can't go into too much detail about
Sure.
them, but the main aha moment typically comes when we show everyone how they're versioning. Which there are a lot of great tools out there for versioning parts of the project, and so most people in their mind they think I've got all of my bases covered because my data is versioned in something like DBC, which is built for it and it's great for that. And my code in GitHub, and I might have an S3 bucket happening somewhere, or Jupyter Notebook. But what they don't realize is that at the end of the day, what they're deploying into production doesn't have a single source of truth. And so when we show them that open source project KitOps, when we say, hey, this is all going to go into one artifact that is tamper proof, it can be cryptographically signed, and can push it to our product, Jozu Hub, that's going to allow your team to work with it and add things that like inference that are just kind of a headache, or the ability to scan these for any vulnerabilities that might exist. That's where the light bulbs start going off and people start thinking, wow, like I can do ML just as easily as I can do a microservices application.
Got it. So your customers are both government customers and commercial customers?
Yeah, we span both.
Okay, awesome. Got it. Okay, that's good there. And then, our guests are very curious individuals. So if we were to kind of open up the hood and look at the brain of Jozu, what would we find? How does it all work?
Hmm. Yeah, if you were to kind of dig into Jozu, I guess at the heart of it there would be a registry. So you could kind of think of this as like a typical artifact registry, like ECR or Artifactory or even Docker Hub. Um,
Okay.
but then we've added all of these things on that are specific to machine learning that you just can't get when you go to the other artifact registries, because they weren't built for a KitOps model kit, or there's also a CNCF specification that's been built called Model Pack that's based off of KitOps as well.
Mhm.
And it wasn't built to surface the data that's required for these applications. So really like a single pane of view is
Mhm.
C. Now you can dig in a little bit further and kind of go down different routes of um, things like ease of usage, like the ability to see a diff view, like you might see in GitHub, of your prompt, which,
Mhm.
if you recall, or if anyone was paying attention to it, there was a malicious pull request that was made to a prompt that went into one of AWS's uh, developer tools. That was missed because prompts can be significantly, yeah, they can be multiple pages long.
Sure.
You don't have that ability to see, okay, what line actually changed. Then you have malicious actors doing things they're not supposed to do.
Mhm.
We make that possible. I mentioned inference. We make it very, very easy to package up a your model into like a Docker container with a Llama CPP runtime or Surface Kubernetes YAML that you can just copy and paste right into your config file. So you do a lot of things like that. And then I also mentioned security scanning. So if you dig into our product, you'll find that there are multiple tools that we've plugged in. Most of them are open source tools, but we've brought them all together to give you one unified view. And
Mhm.
the thing would be audit logging. This is something that's huge for a lot of companies, especially when they're looking at upcoming AI regulation. You one single source of an audit log of everything that's happened with your models. And like I said, these packages are cryptographically signed, so you can't tamper with the audit. You
Okay.
change it, and it's there, and that saves teams massive amounts of time. I mean, we've heard teams that take 2 developers 2 to 3 weeks to create a full audit log of their model, and Jozu services that automatically.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Now, you gave us an example earlier of how Jozu can help be life changing for a developer, etc. We like a second example, and it might be an example where as you were going through a next iteration of the product, or you were going through the next iteration of development, that it actually gave you chills, like, oh my God, like I really created this, my co-founders really created this. Tell us about a time where it wowed you, the power that Jozu could do and has.
Yeah, I think there's been multiple times where it has, when for me, my background isn't software development, uh, but the speed at which I was able to package up a model very easily. Uh, there's a popular tool, I'm sure you've heard it mentioned on your podcast, called Hugging Face. Uh,
Uh-huh.
the Kit CLI allows you to pull in a Hugging Face model, package it as a model kit, um, in just 1 or 2 commands. And just being able to do that is really incredible. But then, I told you I was a VP at Docker at one point.
Uh-huh.
Be able to package that then into a Docker container almost automatically and just get your model running right on your computer in just a few seconds. Well, depending on the size of the model, it could take a while
Right.
to download it, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just a few commands is something that, for me, as someone who's not super technical, I wouldn't have been able to probably do that
Mm-hmm.
without significantly help from ChatGPT or Claude or something walking me through.
Exactly. And what I love about what I'm hearing is it's like, it's open source, and it seems like it's very much LLM or tool agnostic,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
you can work with any type of model.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a large language model, it could be a vision model. It really doesn't matter, because we're not really looking at the type of model. We're looking at the process behind developing the model.
Awesome, awesome. And I have to ask this: how did y'all come up with the name?
So Jozu is actually Japanese for skilled or tactful. So
Okay.
one of my co-founders, Brad, he spent a part of his early career in Japan. He was based in a hub over there for one of his companies, and he fell in love with it, and it just kind of stuck with us. And so when he had an opportunity to come up with a name, he
There
went back.
you go.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that. Joseph. Yeah, my nephew and I went to Japan this past summer. We had a really, really great time. So, okay, good. I love that. Now, you talked about being able to deploy solutions for the government, private sector with consumers, etc. Talk to me about ethics. Like, given the power of this tool, how do y'all think about ethics? What kind of guardrails do you have in place? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so a lot of times when we talk AI ML ethics, what we're talking about is what can the model underneath do and what can't it do.
Mm-hmm.
We look at ethics from a slightly different layer of the development
Okay.
process. So we put governance into place so that, let's say your employees are working on a model. I think there was an example where someone went to a Chevy dealer online, and they convinced the LLM chat support to sell them like a new Suburban or something for $1. Um,
Right.
and they convinced the GPT that it was um, legally binding. I don't remember the outcome of that was, but for us, what we would do is we wouldn't actually help it not say yes or no to that. We would say, is the data that's going into this model uh, violating HIPAA compliance, right? So or GDPR, could someone go onto that model and say, hey, give me the credit card numbers of all of your employees? and would it have access to that data? That's the layer where we help, is
Okay.
what's actually composing this model, and are the things that are composing this model the right things or not. This could go down to licenses. I know that there are countries where certain models can go into production, certain models
Mhm.
can't. You know,
Right.
the U.S. has agreements, or there's embargoed nations, things like that that you don't want. Even sometimes spanning across a company. So when I worked at AWS, we had all sorts of different models with all sorts of different data, and you don't necessarily want the AWS cloud team. They might be working on the same model as the Prime Video team, or the Amazon shopping team. You don't necessarily want them saying what customers are doing inside of each application, though they might have access to the same model to work.
Mm.
Knowing which data and kind of putting in governance and security there is really important, and that's what we focus on.
Right, right. No, I love that. Focusing on the process is like one of the most important steps when you try to think about like security and ethics, etc. So, okay, great. So let's talk about the big future for Jozu. I used to ask, tell us 5 years from now, but with AI, the future could be an hour from now. So,
Yeah,
what do you see as the future for Jozu and how it's going to change the world?
yeah. I think we're positioned really, really well for the future right now. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Most of the development around AI has been focused on hosted foundation models, so hooking up to the ChatGPT API. We're starting to see a big shift happening where they're using the open source version of those models and they're hosting them on prem or inside of a
Okay.
cloud.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what Jozu is made for. We were made for on prem. And so for us, our ideal future, and I think that there's starting to be a lot of momentum going in that direction, is actually teams starting to operationalize ML inside of their business critical, very kind of secure environments, like the deep operational elements of their business, not just having a support chat bot or a sales SDR that's AI, but really like internal, um, really important, really secure data to them, starting to build those models and doing them in house.
Got it. Perfect. Now, of course, sometimes I do have discussions about like on-prem versus not. I mean, what are the disadvantages of being on-prem?
Um, you know, there are there are disadvantages of being on prem. I think the biggest one is obviously you're not accessing the internet in live time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that doesn't always matter when you're working with owned data.
Got it.
That's coming from things like, let's say you're IoT and you're a manufacturer or a logistics company, and you don't really care what's happening outside of your environment. You just want to know, where are all my trucks across the interstate system in the United States?
Mm-hmm.
So you can pull that data in. Um, but really, I think we're seeing that gap of on-prem versus in the cloud shrinking quite a bit. The biggest disadvantage would be that you would need the developers to maintain that on-prem environment, where you don't have someone like AWS or Microsoft to just come in and kind of provide you with all of these tools. You just flip the on switch, and all of a sudden you have eventing or a new database or whatever it might be.
Right, right. Okay. All right. Got it. Now, tell us something that we can do today, this week, to really experience Jozu in terms of if our listeners want to try, build, explore. How can we do that?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say is go check out KitOps, the open source project. It's open source. It's free to use. We've got a great community there. You can get involved with the Discord channel, and that's really the best starting place. Um,
Okay.
Once you do that, if you want to try Jozu, you can go to jozu.ml. We have a hosted sandbox. We don't sell it. It's really just there for people to go and look at it. It's limited feature. But
Uh-huh.
if you think that that's something that would be valuable for your team, reach out, and we're happy to spin up POC inside of your environment, whether that's a private cloud or on-prem.
Awesome. Okay, great. Now we always have a question that's called from one genius to another. So our previous guest question for you, Jesse, was what memory from your own life would you want to hold on to?
Hmm. Yeah, I was actually I was telling this one to my kids recently,
Oh.
and it was my experience learning how to ride a bike. I had a really big hill, grassy hill behind my house, and I remember the first time that I took off on my bike, and I figured out how to balance just long enough to get to the bottom of the hill, and I felt like I was flying. And that's one memory that I wish I could go back and relive. Just because it's
Oh,
so cool when you're a kid and you feel like
yeah.
you're doing it for the
I
first time.
love that one.
Yeah.
I love that one. That is great. Now, could you go back to that hill if you wanted to as an adult and get on a bike and do it?
Maybe I'd have to meet the owners of that house.
Okay. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Being on a bike and then feeling the wind kind of hit up against your face, etc. So yeah, thanks for taking us there. That's great. All right, so let's do bonus rapid fire. I'll ask you 4 questions. You give me the answer that comes straight to your mind. The most overrated AI trend.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to say the 996 culture inside of AI startups. Are you familiar
Okay.
with that?
No, tell us.
Okay. Working 9 to 9, 6 days a week.
Okay.
Not a fan of it. I think you get most of your creativity outside of the workplace. So work hard 9 to 5, put 40 hours in, and you'll be good.
And do that. And so people actually are walking around saying 996, like they're like
It's a
vibing with.
thing. Yeah, you can search it on LinkedIn.
Okay. All right then. Okay. What's the most underhyped tech or AI trend?
Ooh, the most underhyped tech or AI trend right now. I'm gonna say custom GPTs. I think a lot
Mm.
of people don't take the time to really train a GPT for a specific skill. But when you do, when it can take 2 or 3 hours to get everything in there. But once you upload the documents to it and it really understands a specific task, it can be quite powerful. So I think that's right now the most underrated thing that you could do.
Okay. Awesome. What's a book we should all read?
I'm gonna say, it's a classic one. It's Hackers and Painters by Paul Graham. It's a little bit dated, but I love the way that he thinks about the future. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of my favorite books just to go back, and it's also just a beautiful book, the way that it's written.
Okay. Hackers and painters. Y'all heard it here. And then what about your biggest, boldest AI prediction?
My biggest, boldest AI prediction. I think AI predictions typically go in one or two directions. The first one is AI is going to take everything, and no one's going to have a job. I actually fall on the other side of that. I think that AI is going to open up the opportunity for everyone to basically be their own entrepreneur if they want to.
Yes.
We're on the cusp of seeing, our first $1 billion 10-person company.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think for people, especially if you're, a side hustler, AI can be incredible. Just the amount that it allows you to do, all by yourself. And so I think it's actually going to open up more opportunities for people.
Good.
It is going to take opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, I often talk about that with folks. I love that AI kind of levels the playing field. I mean, you can take some young youths or kids somewhere that doesn't have resources or access, and now they have, AI, and now they're at a level playing field with someone that has a lot more resources. And, the intellect into development or creating, etc., is there now because of AI. So I'm with you. I'm definitely with you on that. So, Jesse, I've loved this conversation. Tell us, how can we get in contact with you? Tell us again if we wanted to, play around with Jozu, how do we do that and what we can expect?
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest way to get in touch with me if you want to talk more about AIML or get a demo, you reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. Jesse Williams, Jesse Williams, very easy. As far as getting started with the product, like I said, KitOps, which is kitops.org. Go learn about it, check it out. We've got a vibrant Discord community. We'll also be at KubeCon North America coming up in November. So you can stop by the booth and chat with us there. And for Jozu, check out jozu.com. You can learn all about the product and what we've built on top of KitOps, and check out the sandbox at jozu.ml. There are links there on jozu.com to that as well. But yeah, would love to hear you. And yeah, if you want to just reach out directly on email, it's just Jesse@Jozu.
I love that. Jesse@Jozu.com. All right. Amazing. Well, again, Jesse, we are a great podcast because of wonderful guests like you. So thank you for spending time with us. Tell us about Jozu and all the wonderful things that y'all are doing, your amazing background, your amazing bicycle in the wind story, as well as your passion about being a dad. So we just love learning about you and the company, and can't wait to hear all the great things that you're going to do and the company will do to change the world.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tamara.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Until next time, lead with AI.
Thanks for tuning in to Lead with AI. I'll see you next time as we continue exploring the cutting-edge innovations shaping AI across the public and private sectors. Until then, keep leading with AI.